Hey everyone, Jamie here from technicalcafe.com. Welcome to your 30th HTML tutorial. In the last couple tutorials, we actually began creating a multi-page website in HTML, which is the basis for HTML Project 2. And in this tutorial, we're not going to be using any CSS like we did in the previous project for the profile pages. This is going to be pure HTML. We're going to learn how to create websites that have multiple pages and stuff like that. So if you haven't seen the first couple videos, I suggest you go check those out. You'll get to see what the finished product should look like, as well as what we've done up till here. But if you're just tuning into these videos here, I'll just give you a quick overview. We've created a home page. We have an about page with some information here, and we're about to start working on our news page. And additionally, we also created this menu here, which has a bold text on each web page that you click on here, just so you know that you can't click that, and as well as what page you're on. So let's actually get to work here on our news page, which is where we left off in the last tutorial. We had just finished the about page. So the news page is going to be pretty simple, probably one of the most simple pages on here, along with home. We're just going to add a header and some text. So let's just go ahead and do that. If we click over here to news, we'll create a set of center tags here. And we'll say H2, just so users know where we are. And we'll say news. So if we save this, come over here and refresh, you'll notice that here's our news header here that we have. And I'm going to show you actually two ways that you can go about setting up your news page. So you might want to be able to set it up saying something, some text here with the paragraph tags, and say this is where you can find updates or news related to, oops, spelled related wrong, to our website. So we can do this, and if we refresh, we'll have to center that. You can just do a basic news page where you can just type news and stuff like that, or you can make it look more like a blog if you want to. You can leave this news header in, and what you can do is you can actually, within this center tag here, add a header 3, which is a little bit smaller than the header up here, and we'll just say topic. So we'll save that. We'll just refresh over here, or copy this and paste this here, and now we'll refresh, and it looks like more like a blog type thing here, where you have some topics, then you can write about them, just update the page each time you want to add something new. So that's more like a blog type thing. So this is basically two ways that you can go about creating it. It's up to you. It's just adding basic text to a web page, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But I just thought it would be interesting to show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the paragraph way, just to keep things simple and save some time. So we'll add in our paragraph tags again, and we'll just say this is where you can find news and updates related to our website. So if we save here, come over and refresh, you'll see it looks nice. It's pretty clean, albeit basic, but it's just a news page. And you can't really have it like a traditional blog unless you start using PHP to load things from a database. But just for displaying news in a static context, this is fine. So let's go on to working on our contact page now, which is probably going to be one of the more complicated web pages just because you have to start using forms. But it shouldn't be too bad, and we've worked with forms before in our previous tutorials. So let's just get into it. So if we come over here and click on contact, what we're going to do is we're going to add a set of center tags here, and we're going to say H2 just so users know where we are. We say contact there, and we'll refresh, and here's our contact header. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually add a line of text underneath, saying something like please feel free to contact us, or something like that, whatever you want to add. So we'll say please feel free to contact us using one of the methods below. Thank you. Okay, so if we save this, let's actually throw in some paragraph tags here. Okay, so if we save this, we'll have some text here saying that, please feel free to contact us. And what we're going to do is add a couple contact methods, including the form, which we'll do last. So the two contact methods we're going to add is a phone number and a street address, or snail mail, if you will. So let's come over here, and we'll space that down. Actually, what we can do is we can just bump that center tag down so we don't have to enter some more. What we'll do here is we'll say paragraph, and we'll close off the paragraph, and we'll make a bold tag so we have like a sort of header for what we're going to be entering in here. And we'll say phone, we'll say just phone, and then under, or we'll save this first, come over and take a look. You'll see that we have phone and it's in bold. And then what we're going to do is just come outside of the bold tag here, and we'll add our fake phone number here, so 555 555 555. Okay, so if we come over here and refresh, you'll see that we have our phone number here, which is all well and good. And okay, that's not bold, so we'll come over here and we'll do the same thing again. So we'll create a closing paragraph tag, and we'll create another set of bold tags, and we'll say snail mail. And then we'll come over here and enter in an address. So we'll say 1234 street here. So if we come over here and refresh, you'll notice that we have our phone number and our snail mail. You can put them both within the same paragraph tag if you'd like. If you want to eliminate the space, you can omit the paragraph tag, but it just looks nice and clean like this, where you have both things here nice and centered and a decent amount of space so you don't confuse anything or anything like that. So now that we have that, let's go about creating a form. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use some form tags. So we'll say form, and then we'll close the form, and we'll put over here, we'll say form method equals, and we'll say post, since we're going to be sending a decent amount of information. So you don't want that all coming through in the URL here, which would get with the get function. So we'll say post, and we'll say action equals. In the action attribute of the form element, if you remember, is what page it's going to be sent to. You can omit this if you're going to send it to the same page. You can enter in the same page, or you can use a different page, like a process.php or something like that. So for this purposes of this, we'll just say process.php. So when the user clicks send within the form, it'll take them to a process.php page where the information can be taken over and then used to, or edited in whatever way you want. So we're not going to go about creating this process.php page because I don't have a server or anything, or XAMPP or something like that we can use. But we'll just put it there as a placeholder, and it's also so you know what you can do with this. So now that we have our form, let's indent, and actually let's just indent the rest of this. Everything after body will indent just to keep everything clean. So we'll indent all this. Okay, we'll indent that. We will indent all of this. And within our form, we'll also indent here. So just so everything looks clean, we have our two center tags here, and we'll actually bump a space there too. So okay, now that everything looks a little bit cleaner, it's a little bit easier to read, especially since we're going to be adding a couple more lines of code. We don't want anything to be confusing. So the first thing we're going to add is a text box. So we'll say input type equals, and then we're going to say, we'll say text. So let's actually go ahead and save this and come over here and refresh. And here we have a basic text box. We can enter our text. But if we click enter, you'll notice that it takes us to process.php, and that doesn't work. So let's not do that right now. Okay, so here's our text box. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put some type of field, like maybe name or email address, outside of here. So what we'll do is we'll come back to our code, and outside of here we'll just say name and put a space, and we'll come over here and refresh. So there we have our name field, so the user can enter in their name. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create another input, and we'll say email, and we'll say input type equals text. And we'll save this, come over here and refresh. And now we have two fields, but what I want to do is I want to actually put some space in between these. So we're going to use a set of paragraph tags. So we'll save this, come over here and refresh. And now we have our two fields decently spaced from one another, where we can enter in our name. So we'll say Jamie, and our email, and we'll say jamie@technicalcafe.com. So now that we have these two fields here, we can go about creating our actual text box, where we're going to be sending where the user can write the body of the message. So what we're going to do for this is we're actually going to be using a text area and not a text box. So we'll say text area, and we'll close our text area. If you remember that a text area has two tags, a set of opening and closing tags, and whatever goes in here is what will be in the actual text box. So for example, in here, we save that, and we'll get a text box that says in here. So what we're going to want to do is actually bump this down with a set of paragraph tags, save, and we'll come over here and refresh. And here's our text box. So one thing I want to put over there is we're going to say message, and then we'll use another set of paragraph tags just to keep everything nice and spaced. Okay, so here's where the user can enter their message. It's underneath, and it's on top of the text box rather than on the side, since we're going to actually change the amount of rows and columns, making this bigger. So let's come over here, and we'll say text area, we'll say rows equals, and calls equals. So rows is what we're going to be having going horizontally, so it's the size, essentially the size, how many rows we're going to have, and columns is how wide it's going to be. So for rows we'll say, let's say 200, and we'll say for columns we'll say 300. So let's see what that looks like. If we come over here and refresh, we'll notice that's quite a large text box. So we'll say 20 by 30, and still kind of big. So what we're going to do for columns is we're going to say, let's say 20 by 20. Okay, we'll change this here. For the number of rows we'll say 10, and for the number of columns we'll say 30. Now it's essentially a matter of trial and error. So this looks kind of nice. I just want to make it a little bit longer so we can accommodate full sentences. So we'll say columns, we'll say maybe 40. And if we refresh, okay, there we go. This looks pretty nice. It's a nice small text box, but enough to have full sentences. So if we can type, this is a message to be sent to the owner of this website. So it looks pretty nice. You can actually make it bigger or smaller depending on your tastes, and some browsers actually allow you to just drag it out and make it whatever size you want. So that's completely up to you, whatever you want your website to be about. Let's just get rid of this real quick. So we'll save this, come over and refresh. We'll just get rid of this. Okay, so this is what the website looks like without any text in there. So the next thing we're going to want to do is actually include a submit button, so that when we actually want to send this form to whoever's going to read it, we can go ahead and do so. So let's come down here, and we're going to say within our form, we'll say, let's just indent into there, input type equals submit, and we're going to give this value of send. And if you remember, value is what's going to be on the face of the button. So we'll save this, come over here, and we'll refresh, and here's our send button. So when we click send, it's actually going to send all of this information to our process.php page. So let's come down here and just indent the button down using some paragraph tags. So we'll save this, come over here and take a look, and here's our send button down here at the end of our form. So one thing that we're going to want to do you'll learn more about this if you're going to be using some PHP to insert things into a database or to process information from forms, is that we want to actually add names to these so that we can recognize them when we pick them up in either a post or a get variable. So where it says input type equals text, we're going to give it a name, and we're going to call this name. And the name is what's going to be being sent, so when you're using PHP and you pick this up, you're going to pick up the name field, and this is going to be whatever the name is. So we called this name, and its name field is name, so don't let those two things confuse you. Or we can call this users underscore name. So for email, we're going to say name equals, and we'll say email. And for text area, we don't need to really put in anything, but we can type in name equals. Actually, for text area, you should put in something. If it's not part of the form, you don't need to, but seeing as it is a part of the form, we'll be sending it, we'll give the text area a name of body, for body of the message. Excuse me for that one there. In the send button, we'll give this a name, though it's not necessary. But you can use the send button if you want to check to see if the form has been submitted, to prevent people from using certain sections of websites and stuff like that. So we'll say name equals submit. So if we save this, come over here and refresh, you'll notice nothing's changed But now we can use our form. So Jamie, email jamie@technicalcafe.com, and our message can go here. So we gave all these a name. So whatever we send, this is going to be the name, the email, and the body are here respectively. And when we click send, all of this will be brought via a post variable to our process.php page, where we can do whatever we want, use it to send an email, something like that. So let's just recap what we did over here. We created our form sections, so our name section, email, and message. For the message, we didn't use a text box, but rather a text area, since we can better customize it and stuff like that. We gave the name input type, or the name text box, name of the user's name. So we're going to pick all these name variables or name attributes up in PHP later. So we called this one email, and for the text area, we gave it the name of body, since this is where we're going to be doing most of the processing of the text, or most of the text writing in the body, since it's the message. And we give our submit button the name of submit, just for checking certain things. So this is basically how we go about creating our contact page. So if we save this, come over here, and we come back, we refresh. This is our contact page here. We might want to add some text down here saying you can send us a message, so we'll come over here and do just that. So we'll come over, okay. Alternatively, you can send us a message. So if we save this and refresh, you'll see that we might want to add a little bit of a space. So we'll come down here and throw in another set of paragraph tags. Okay, let's try again. Interesting, so it's not adding space for some reason. We'll just use a BR. Okay, there we go. So now we have some space. Might be a little bit too much space. We'll just get rid of one of those. And there we go. So now this is basically our website. We have our home, about, news, and contact pages. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to post them in the comments below, or also send me an email using the technicalcafe.com contact form. And you can also send me a message on YouTube too if you have any questions that you want me to elaborate on a little bit more, or just questions in general. So a quick recap of what we did: we created our home page here, our about page with information about it, our news page, and I showed you how we can customize it to look like a blog or something else like that, as well as our contact page, where we created the form that users can send messages with. So that's basically how we're going to go about doing it. This is a multi-page website, and this is the last video in HTML Project 2. So please feel free to let me know if you have any suggestions for other HTML tutorials or anything like that, and thank you for watching.